Can you get great results like top barbecue restaurants that use industrial warmers as their key ingredient to getting juicy and tender briskets? Today we're testing out a long hold 16 hours using my residential warmer to see if we can get similar results. I've been doing this for quite a while now and I'm loving it. Stick around as we get into it and show you what I'm learning. So top barbecue restaurants in Texas and across the nation, they use a warmer because, needing to serve people in the restaurant same day, they need to cook it the day before, keep it in the warmer so they got hot food ready to go. So it makes sense for how restaurants do it, but does it make sense to do it for you as a backyard cook? Well, for my case, it's been really game changing because oftentimes I'm doing more catering, I've got more family gatherings, and then if you're crunched for time and you need to have something done, like today I've got something that needs to be done by 1 p.m. and getting the food cooked in the same day by 1 would require me to get up super early. So cooking the day before a long hot hold makes a lot of sense. So I've been researching, getting a food warmer, and I'm a part of a group of guys that do catering and we share best practices, and one of them said you need to check out I think it's a Vever, I don't know how to pronounce it, food warmer. This is what I've got, so I bought it. I'm not affiliated with them. It's been working phenomenal. I'll have a link in the description for you to check out if it's something you decide you're interested in. So I've been doing that for the past 3 or 4 months now, and it's been a game changer in just the efficiency, more tender and juicy barbecue I'm finding personally, although there's other steps that help that process along the way. And the part of using a food warmer is you also want to make sure you're staying out of the danger zone. Before I had this food warmer, I was doing the big popular strategy of doing a foil, towel, and a cooler, and then letting it just stay in the cooler warm until a few hours. I don't know if I've ever tested it overnight, maybe once, but you got to be very mindful of food safety because the danger zone is between 40 and 140 degrees where bacteria can form. I'm learning that in making my own sausage, which that video will be right here for you to check out. But let me just say this, you want to be mindful of that. Doesn't mean you can't achieve that, but having a thermometer to kind of monitor the temps so you're staying in that safe zone, or using an oven at 150. Most are at 170, but sometimes you can preset it to go about 30 degrees lower, so definitely check that out if you don't want to invest in this. But the cost of a cooler, especially a nice one like a Yeti, is the similar cost to my food warmer. So I wanted to have a dedicated food warmer for that purpose, and that has been a game-changing experience. So let me get into how I made this brisket, and then we'll slice it and show you the final results. Let me know what questions you might have along the way. Put those in the comment section. This was a 20-pound, maybe even a 21-pound brisket I got at Costco. I tried to find really thick ones that have a really good thick point on the, not only just the point, but also the flat. And then I trimmed down the hard fat cap side on both, on the fat cap side, and then I try to trim all the way around, kind of round it. Kind of visualize that as you're trimming. So I salt brined and I trimmed the night before, and then I trimmed the fat, and then from there we salt brined it using Diamond Kosher salt, put it in the refrigerator. Next day, after we trimmed it and salt brined it, we then seasoned it with my new rub called All Y'all, and it is just a salt, pepper, garlic with celery seed in it. And it does an amazing job creating a wonderful bark, but also a great smoke ring with that celery seed. And it's just a great flavor and really simple. And so I seasoned that brisket with that, and then we fired up the Lone Star grills at between 250 and 300. Now the advantage of a Lone Star or an offset stick burner is you got to stay on it. You got to plan your day accordingly. So I spent all day smoking this. Ended up being a 12-hour smoke and then a 16-hour hold, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. And so 16-hour hold, but a 12-hour smoke. And I'm finding that if you do a longer smoke, you want to have that longer hold. A smaller, a shorter amount of time of smoking, maybe using the cooler strategy just for a few hours is a good strategy for you. But we did 250 to 300, and I had to stay on it every 45 minutes, putting post oak in there. Use my Grill Blazer grill torch to light up my offset, gets it going in 60 seconds. Have a link in the description if that's something you're interested in. I love this thing. I've got the fire management system for the Lone Star. It keeps all the wood splits really contained, using a base of charcoal first. Then once it's white hot, put a split on there every 45 minutes to maintain. But I fluctuated between 250, 275, and 300 throughout the cook. But for the most part, for the first 6-7 hours, it was between 250, 275. That last 4 hours or so, I bumped it up to 300 to try to speed it up. Now, I didn't do any foil boat method or wrap this up during the cook. It's almost, I believe that's called the Goldie's methods, but I've been really enjoying that, just keeping it really simple and just letting that bark formation happen. And I'm telling you, the Lone Star produces a wonderful bark. So I'll just show different stages of the cooking on the Lone Star as I was smoking it all day yesterday, so it'd be ready for my family this afternoon. And then we just let it ride until it was, I want to say you typically do it until based on feel and probe tenderness, but when you're doing a long hold, I'm finding, and let me know in the comments your experience, if it's something different. We can all kind of turn our comment section to a forum and learn from each other, but I'm finding that if you pull a little earlier, about 190, 195, where it's probe tender in some sections, and it's still, it's soft, but it still pulls a little bit, that you can go ahead and put it in the warmer, because it's going to continue to stop smoking, because I'm going to let it, I let it come to room temperature around 180, or I say room temperature, I let it come down to 180 is what I did after it was done smoking after 12 hours. And then I put it in a foil pan. But before I did that, I put tallow in butcher paper on the top and bottom, wrapped it up. Then I put it in foil, and then I put it in a foil pan, covered it with another layer of foil on top of that to keep the moisture in there. You can add a little bit of water in there as well to keep moisture going. And then we did that 16-hour hot hold, which is about the time we're about to bring you in and show you the final results. But this thing is looking dynamite. It is black, it's beautiful, it's barky, it smells delicious. I can't wait to slice into this. And we're going to slice this, and then I'm going to serve it, briefly keep it on the warmer for my family here in about 45 minutes. So that's kind of our strategy, and so far it's been producing great results for me doing that long hold. I've even doing up to 22-hour hold once, and I was really nervous about it, and it ended up being perfect, super tender. So I think salt brining is a key part of the tenderness factor, and then also the long hold and the warmer is a key factor in that juicy and tender process. So let's bring you in, let's slice this thing and see how we did. Juices. Let's see. Oh man, I'm hoping you can see the tenderness, this juiciness. All right, so that turned out juicy, tender. Here we go. This is the point. That was the flap. Wow, so flavorful and tender. That salt, pepper, garlic, just simple go-to. I'm loving it. Okay, a few things to be mindful of. Now, the point turned out good, but when you do a long hold, like I did, you do run the risk of it being it's pull apart. It's like shredded brisket. So that's the downfall. It's super flavorful, tender, and juicy, especially the point, which most often the point's going to be juicy no matter what, no matter if you're doing a long hold or not. But overall, super happy with the results, although I could have loved to seen the flat be not as it pulled apart, but not as crumbly as it could have been. And so this is really good, but it kind of falls apart like that. So I think my hunch is that it's simply potentially overcooked a little bit, or if by pulling I've been pulling at that 195. One thing I need to consider is maybe letting it go to probe tenderness and then putting it in the warmer. But overall, I've had pretty good success. I've been doing caterings, doing this method, and overall it's been a pretty foolproof process. Let me know in the comments what questions you have, and if you have thoughts and ideas as well about the long hold and different strategies you've done to be successful. Overall, this was super fun, delicious, and so tasty. Now it's time to serve my family that's here, and man, I think they're in for a treat. And again, from my backyard to yours, less hate, more love, good barbecue. Till next time.